breaking right now in New York City. The NYPD is investigating after an armed suspect acting erratically, calling himself Lucifer, stabbed multiple people this morning at Grand Central Station. It's a busy place. And then he was...
Stop everything. A man calling himself Lucifer just turned Grand Central Station into a scene out of a horror movie. 3 victims, ages 65 to 84, and a standoff that ended in gunfire. You need to see how this went down.
Shot and killed by officers. The victims are 84, 70, and 65-year-olds, and they are all thankfully in stable condition.
Look at the chaos in that report. We're talking about an 84-year-old man just trying to get through his morning, and he crosses paths with a guy who refused 20 police orders to drop the knife. Think about that. 20 chances to walk away. The officers were literally pleading with him, telling him they'd get him help, but he still advanced. It's wild because this happened right in the middle of the morning rush at one of the busiest hubs in the world. You've got to wonder where the security breakdown happened for a guy with 3 prior unsealed arrests to be roaming the subway with a blade. It's a miracle those 3 victims are in stable condition, but the psychological toll on the city is massive. It really highlights that gap between policy and the actual reality on the ground. Did you catch the name, though? Calling himself Lucifer? That's some deep-level erratic behavior that the system clearly missed before it turned fatal.
Passing around.
That's right, Aisha, and the talks have lasted over 2 hours before just a few minutes ago breaking for dinner with Pakistan's Prime Minister. And Vice President JD Vance is now the most senior U.S. official to meet an Iranian delegation face-to-face since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. And as the official delegation arrived in Islamabad under Pakistani F-16 fighter escort jets sold to Pakistan by the United States decades ago, the stakes are high for Vice President Vance, the biggest assignment of his career, trying to end the 6-week-old war with Iran. As technical talks have been underway on the future of Iran's nuclear program, there are also questions, just like you asked the president, about opening the Strait of Hormuz. The sizable Iranian delegation that arrived here is led by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Galbaf. He is the former mayor of Tehran, a veteran.
Wait, did you see those F-16s? Those aren't just for show. JD Vance just made history as the highest-ranking U.S. official to sit across from an Iranian delegation face-to-face since 1979. We are talking nearly 50 years of note-passing and back-channeling, and now they're actually in the same room in Islamabad. The optics here are insane. Pakistani fighter jets escorting the vice president into a high-stakes peace talk to end a 6-week-old war. It's a massive assignment for Vance. While everyone is focused on the domestic headlines, this is where the real global shift is happening. They're discussing the Strait of Hormuz and nuclear programs in a 2-hour session that might stretch into days. That's usually a sign that a real deal is actually on the table. It's a complete departure from the hawk narrative we usually hear. Pay attention to the veteran leading the Iranian side, too. He's a former commander of their Air Force. This isn't just diplomacy. It's a high-level military chess match.
Today through anonymous allegations. And I thought it was important that you see and hear from me directly. These allegations of sexual assault are flat false. They are absolutely false. They did not happen. They have never happened. And I will fight them with everything that I have. They also come on the eve of an election where I have been the front-runner candidate for governor in California. I do not suggest to you in any way that I'm perfect or that I'm a saint. I have certainly made mistakes in judgment.
This is the video that ended a political career. Eric Swalwell, the frontrunner for California governor, is essentially watching his future vanish in real time. But here's the detail everyone is missing. The irony of his 2018 tweet, "Believe survivors," is now being used as the primary weapon against him. It's a classic case of political chickens coming home to roost. The allegations aren't just coming from one person. Multiple women have stepped forward with stories ranging from harassment to much worse. Even his own party leadership is calling for him to drop the race, though they're curiously quiet about him staying in Congress. It's a weird middle ground, right? If you're unfit to be governor because of these claims, how are you still voting on federal laws? The Manhattan DA is already digging in, and with those unconfirmed videos circulating on social media, this is going to get a lot uglier before it's over. You can see it in his eyes in the clip. He knows the saint image is done.
Now, those same residents were not happy by the surprise, taking to the streets, as you can see here, to protest the shelter. If completed, the $4.8 million shelter could house up to 150 single men. And the city claims it will be a high-quality shelter with on-site case managers, but residents are worried for their safety, and they have a right to be upset because the shelter, look at this, is a short walk from a preschool. It's a similar story in Staten Island. Residents and politicians taking to the...
Look at the location of that construction. Imagine walking your toddler to preschool and seeing an all-male homeless shelter being built right next door. That's why these residents are taking to the streets at midnight. It's not just about the shelter. It's the way it was handled, restarting construction in the middle of the night to avoid the protesters. And the math? It's mind-blowing. We're talking $4,000 to $11,000 per unit per month. Most people in Brooklyn can't even dream of a mortgage like that, yet that's what the city is paying for these contracts. It feels less like a social safety net and more like a massive business venture at this point. When you hear about World War II veterans being moved out to make room for these units, you realize why the compassion argument is falling flat with the locals. It's a total failure of urban planning that's putting high-risk facilities right in the middle of children's dance studios and cheer facilities.
Operation Epic Fury is approved. No aborts. Good luck. I don't think that the Times reporting was a result of leaks. I think the administration wanted this story in the public domain. In contrast to those offensive and intemperate Truth Social posts, which were intended for Tehran, this window into pre-war decision-making was for the Americans. It shows airing of competing views, some open to dissent, reliance on legal counsel.
Let's talk about Operation Epic Fury. This is the reconstruction of the decision that almost started a full-scale war. Behind closed doors, it wasn't the erratic behavior the media likes to portray. It was a calculated, legally vetted move. The CIA had intelligence that the entire Iranian leadership was meeting above ground in broad daylight. That's a once-in-a-generation window. What's fascinating is that JD Vance was actually the most skeptical person in the room, trying to pull the brakes on the attack while the military pushed forward. It shows a deliberative process that most people never hear about. They were debating the legality and the fallout for over an hour before the 4 p.m. deadline. It's a reminder that what we see on social media is often the madman mask, while the actual Situation Room is running a much more surgical operation. Big shifts are happening, from the subways of New York to the borders of Iran. Which story shocked you more? Drop a comment below and don't forget to follow for the next breakdown.